party, and she's here. Her name is Gail Griffin. She's a world champion. Everything. There's like 50. I had to get the bio out, just like I have to do with most of our guests. I have to get the bio out. But she told me something that I so love, and I use it. She said, 1, put your hat down. 2, and let's say, let's go. So you're on that bumpy bronco. That horse. That big horse. So what I want to say tonight to get us started, it's usually woo-woo, I want to say, let's go. So I want to hear a big 1, put your hat down. 2, get ready. Let's go. Wow. Boys, I look out tonight. And I usually say, and they told me I couldn't say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. When I started this organization 3 years ago, I used to always say, what if somebody comes? You're throwing a party and you're having a meeting and what if somebody shows up? I know. My heart, girlfriend. Really think about it. Sometimes you're scary, you're starting something new. And you say, oh my goodness, what if nobody comes? Well, I didn't say it tonight, boy, my house. Thank you all for coming. I just want to welcome you all tonight. And for those of you that don't know, and I think I've met just about everybody here tonight, I'm Darlene Templeton, and I'm the Chief Amazing Officer. We just renamed me. Kristen Magic renamed me the Chief Amazing Officer of Amazing Women Alliance, Amazing Women Leaders, and Templeton and Associates. And boy, am I lucky. I get to be surrounded by so many beautiful, talented, amazing, brilliant women and men tonight. Our amazing men join us tonight. So normally I don't use my notes because we have it's pretty easy. Tonight I have so many people to thank. It takes a village. So tonight this doesn't just happen. And I need to say something. My village gets bigger and bigger, and I'm so happy that you all have joined my village. I just heard something about that it's a book by Ivan Meisner that somebody gave me, where's Christy? That Christy gave me that said, who's in your room? And I'm happy that all of y'all are in my group tonight. Now, I'll probably cry. But I'm happy that you're in my group, my tribe, my room, whatever. But it's like the airlines. There's lots of women's groups, and thanks for choosing to fly with us tonight. I do want to thank all of you for coming. I do want to thank the village because it does take a village. So I have to share something. Deborah Lampkin is not here, but Pat, the general manager of the Norris Conference Center. I am not an easy customer, so you can imagine I call Deborah every day. And I'm sure I miss a lot, but Pat, thank you to you and your team for making this so beautiful tonight and making it easy for my team. We appreciate it. We've got so many people to thank tonight. Let's hold our applause till the end, or we'll never get out of here tonight. There's a lot of people that volunteered today that gave of their time, their efforts. They've been working on this for months to get this thing done. If you volunteered in any way to do anything with this, please stand up. Please, all of you stand up. Okay, we're going to hold our applause because we're going to be clapping all night. We'll be clapping. Okay. There's a couple of special people. My husband and I got married in St. Martin 20 years ago, and it was a hurricane. We were supposed to have gotten married on the beach. There were 80 miles an hour winds, and the palm trees were like this, and the skies were black by the time we really got married. 70 and 80 miles an hour winds. So my husband says we got married in a hurricane, and nothing's changed. So if you can imagine, sometimes working with me, maybe it wasn't like working with a hurricane. Okay? So there are 4 special people that I'd like to recognize that keep me in line and straight every day. Kay Wright, don't hold your applause. Kay Wright, my VA. Shane and Mallory Montoya. And Tracy Stinnett, where are you? Oh, right here, turn your face. Thank you all so much for helping this hurricane stay in place. I think we kind of brought it down to a tropical storm. Is that what we done? Oh, there's some, okay, you guys are here. There's some special people, and my husband's not here tonight. I said a leader to cry. The leaders do cry. It's okay to cry, ladies. It is okay to cry. I'm going to recognize my family. Would you like this bag? Okay. No, we're not crying. My husband got the flu about 6 ago, and he had double pneumonia and the flu. He had bacterial and viral pneumonia. He was in the hospital for 3.5 weeks and in ICU for 8 days. He is back. He's doing amazing. He's weak. He lost 18 pounds. I gained 3. What's wrong with that? But he's usually here with us tonight, and he's not here tonight. But he sends his love and his regard. I couldn't do it without his help and support. And then the rest of my family, I want my family to please stand up. My nieces and my daughter-in-law, Tammy Patterson, Kathy Patterson, and my daughter-in-law, Michael. And my dear friends, Cindy and Theo. Theo's one of our amazing men. John usually makes him come as well. But you know, you can't do it without your family. And I wanted to share with you, I said I wasn't going to say much about John. Sometimes you don't know how short life can be. And we're going to talk about focus tonight. Well, I would be honest with you, it changed my focus dramatically. I was so focused on business. I worked 36 years at IBM. I've been in this corporate world, and I hate to say this, and don't anybody ask. 49 years. I started when I was 18 years old in this business world. There's not much I haven't seen, done, been through, helped people through, worked out, coached, handled, or whatever. This is the hardest thing I've ever handled in my life. And I've lost a lot of family over the last few years. But I will tell you, the team, everyone sitting in this room, they invited people, the team worked, everybody worked together, they did it. I stepped away, basically, I've been gone for almost 4 weeks. Okay, I've been available, trust me, I've been available, I couldn't just walk away. But I've been available, but the team stepped in. So sometimes it makes you realize that you can ask for help. I teach asking for help, and I didn't want to ask for help. But I asked for help, and I asked my neighbors, hey, Fern, I didn't see you. Good to see you, sweetie. I asked my neighbors if they could just come take my Christmas tree down. Small thing, but I was going to try to figure it out myself. Ask for help and put your focus on the things that need to be focused, and somehow a way happens. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Our whole night, our theme for 2019, 90-something, our theme for 2019 is focus. It was confidence for 2018, and we really focused on how do we grow our confidence? How do we become more confident? There we go. How do you become more confident? I said, are you kidding me? I wake up in the middle of the night going, holy moly, what's going on with this? We all want to grow. We all want to be more confident, and we all want to do the things we love. Focus for me, I've always heard focus, 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 focus. But there is magic in focusing. What we focus on gets done. You know, if you focus on it, I focused on John while the rest of the team focused on putting this amazing event together tonight, and look at it. And yes, I got to approve some things, and I got to say, maybe, maybe not, but not a lot. The team did it because we planned and we focused. So I'm so honored to be here tonight. So, and then, if you're a first-timer, this is your first time meeting, come to an Amazing Women Alliance event, please stand up. Welcome, and I hope you'll come back. Okay? And then, where are my sponsors? I want my sponsors to please stand up. Y'all are amazing. If you're a sponsor of our event, please stand up. These people are not just sponsors. They are part of our group. They love us too. They're amazing. They participate. They're here today. They brought all their stuff. But more than that, they are part of our tribe and our group. Please make sure that you go around and talk to each and every one of them, because we could not do this without our sponsors. It just doesn't happen. Where are my amazing men? All the men, I would love for you to please stand up. I've met a lot of women over the years, and I'm lucky to be surrounded by such amazing women. I've invited a very special guest to join us tonight, and she's my best guest. Beth Meisner, please stand up. We thank you so much for being here. Beth Meisner is one of the only women that has ever been able to get me quiet for about 35 minutes. She's gone. They were scared to death. She and Ernestine were afraid something was wrong with me, because they said, she's going to start talking in a minute. She's going to start talking. I was focusing on the qigong things, and I had to keep focusing. But I'll tell you, I felt the best I had. So Beth, I'm ready. I'm back in, girlfriend. I'm back in. And I know it is my theme, focus, and I need to focus. Aren't there 18 moves? Did I get it right? How many moves are there? 18?
There are 22 in
Oh. I just said I was too busy focusing on the 18 I was doing. Well, thank you, Beth. But seriously, Beth really has a strong heart for women and for everybody, and she wanted to come and join us tonight so she can become a part of our amazing tribe. So welcome. Thank you so much, Beth. And now, our amazing speaker. I'm going to save the big introduction for later, but I have to tell you, I've known Gay Gaddis for quite a while, and every time I hear her speak, I just want to stand up and go, every time, because she speaks clearly to my heart and to the heart of women. If you have not bought her book, Cowgirl Power, okay, so hold on. My Bible, okay? Cowgirl Power, How to Kick Ass in Life and Personal. I just say how to kick ass in business and life. It is phenomenal. I'm going to share something later about Gay that every time I hear this phrase and every time she says it, I just want to stand up and start going, woo! Again. So, Gay, thank you. And when Gay said yes, I was like, woo! I called the team and I said, she said yes, she's coming to speak. So I'm very excited. So I just want to know, there's a couple of other women that I want to stand up. We don't allow mean girls in Amazing Women Alliance. It's just something we don't do. I'll probably pull on the stage. We don't allow mean girls. It's about women lifting each other up. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But it's about women supporting women. Mean girls, I didn't do it when I was 13, and I'm not doing it at 67. So if you're running a women's organization on the board or supporting another women's organization, please stand up because I want to recognize you. Please stand up. Susan. Susan, please stand up. Okay. Quickly. Okay. I am so honored to know these women and to be a part of them. What I also love is we're intermixing. Someone came to an AWT meeting and said, I came to hear you speak, but I joined. You know, where's Lainey? Where's Lainey? Lainey Deckerbaugh, please stand up. She's running an HR organization, but she focuses on the women as well. I want to thank each and every one of you for the work you do. And just quickly tell me which organization so others can hear us, okay? Susan, please start.
So I am with Forward. We're a national organization that supports Christian women in the workplace.
Okay, hold your applause, please, everyone. Okay.
I'm with Andy's List. We support women running for state level positions.
Andy.
I'm with Austin Women in Technology, and we help women who work in and with technology to connect, grow, learn, and heal.
Sophia.
Hi, I'm with Women Communicators in Austin, and we are supporting women fearlessly architecting their careers.
Liz.
I'm with the Travis County Women Lawyers Association. We support women in Travis County, women lawyers.
Lainey.
I'm with Austin Human Resource Management Association, and we believe that everyone belongs, and we have a lot of support for women in our community.
Thank you. Grace.
Grace Lanning, E-Woman Network in Austin. We support women in business growing to whatever their next level is.
Jewel.
I volunteer for Jen Austin. This is an organization for young women. And we're looking for women mentors that are willing to spend just an hour to come for a career day or have a mentoring session with young women. So if you'd like to know more, please let me know.
Thank you all. And let's give a big hand to everybody. I'm honored to be here. These are our sponsors, and as I said, we can't do it without them, and they are part of our tribe. Whoops. Did I do it? So it's not a birthday party, and it's not a celebration without doing the celebration. So I want everybody to stand up. okay? One thing to focus on, and one thing to celebrate. I cannot read. I just can't too much. So I don't do the CPR on me. What I want you to do tonight is every time you hear the word celebrate or focus, I want you to think about what you just wrote down, okay? Everybody do that. I want you to think about that. Got it? This is International Women's Day. It's this week. It's International Women's History Month. And we're doing our International Women's stuff. Okay? Everybody good? Everybody got their stuff written down? Sorry? Celebrate one thing you want to celebrate that you've accomplished or you've done. One thing. And what is one thing you want to focus on in the next 30 days? One thing to focus on in the next 30 days. Remember what you write down and put your focus on, it gets done. Huh? Drink more wine? You can do that, darling. That's on you. You can do that, girlfriend. Okay. So right now, write that down. I'm going to give you a quick minute. Because if I give you too long, you think too much about it. So a quick minute. Okay? Write it down. And then every time you hear the word celebrate or focus tonight, and going forward, I want you to think about what you wrote tonight. Okay? I'm going to show you something. Sorry. This is my favorite gift for a house. She had it on Facebook about 5 years ago, and I stole it. This is about women lifting up women. It's about women giving other women a hand up. It's about supporting each other in this room. It's about supporting each other in the organizations we talked about. And it's about making sure that everybody succeeds. And when Corey put that on Facebook, she got like 10,000 likes. And I stole it. I got 2. Okay, Corey, I'm going to follow you on social media. But I love this because it's all about helping other women. And that's what we do. We lift each other up. No mean girls, we lift each other up. I do want to show you a couple things that I'm really proud of. We started this thing 3 years ago. This is our 3rd annual birthday bash. And like I said, I was afraid somebody would come, and we had 73 women at the first event. We have had 33 meetings in the last year, only 2,000 attendees. We as our organization have raised $15,000 for gifting care to support breast cancer and other women who are suffering from breast cancer. So never think that you're too small to do that. Last year, in 2017, we raised $6,000. This year, in 2018, we raised $8,000. So we raised $1,000 before. So don't ever think you're too small. We have put thousands, lots of shows on patients here in Austin, the Hill and Comfort Church. And if breast cancer hasn't hit your family, Sherry says it's 1 in 8. It hit mine. Okay? So all I want you to know is when it hits home, and it hits close to home a lot, that these shirts help other women who are going through this crazy, horrible disease. And we want to help them. We give them a card that says, this is a hug from Amazing Women Alliance. We want them to know we're with you on your journey. So help us. We'll do that. We do it every September, and you can donate all year. So if you're interested, come and see me. We have launched something. I wanted to stay different, and I wasn't sure that we needed to have a membership. So we decided we launched a membership. We're really kicking it off this year. We've kind of been behind the 8 ball a little bit on it, but please think about joining. It's really where we can tighten our circles and figure out how I can help you, because we're getting so big now that I'm reaching, but I can't reach as much as I need to reach. So we're getting circles where we can help each other. And in the member circle, which is interesting, I'll talk a little more about it. You can start, we have over 1,400 people on our Facebook page right now for Amazing Women Alliance. You can't go out and post your events, because that would be all it would be. If you join the member circle directory, you can post your events. You can advertise without spamming, but you can do stuff to where you can start to really grow your business in this smaller group. We've also built a directory that you have to join, but we're going to be sharing this directory on my Facebook page, all over, and on the 1,400. So, but you have to join the membership circle to be able to do that. So again, we're trying to get more women out to bigger groups to grow your business. So we've had over 100+ sponsors showcase. I'm so proud of that. And as I said, these sponsors are part of our group. They continue to sponsor us over and over again, which is what I love. So if you haven't met them, please go meet them. Focus, I just talked about focus. Focus, focus, focus. Hey, Caitlin, I didn't see you. How are you, girlfriend? Focus, oh, sorry. So I'm going to tell something on my grandchildren. My grandchildren here. My grandchildren said a few years ago, they're 18, 16, 15, and 12. I don't know, they were 9, they were little. They're coming back from Schlitterbahn, and they're talking about people that have disabilities, and my grandson is ADD, and they're talking about that. And they said, doo-doo. And I said, what? They said, we've decided you're ADHD, undiagnosed, and you need to be on meds. I'm driving. My 4 grandchildren are in the car with me, and I went, you know, you're probably right. Nobody said I started carrying on full sentences in 18 months, and I haven't shut up since, so that's probably good. But when your grandkids tell you that you're probably ADHD, undiagnosed, and you need to be on meds, it scares me a little. There's a special group. All of y'all are very special, so please don't think that I am making other people very special. But these women decided to invest in themselves, and they're going to make you cry. They decided to invest in themselves. They decided to go with me on a 6-month leadership journey called Amazing Women Leaders. I get to torture them for 6 months, okay? Every day I get to torture them. But this group of women are game changers. If you don't know them, we're not a nonprofit. I don't have a board, but these AWL women that are going through the program or have gone through the program are my board. I ask them every day, is this the right thing to do? Do you think the group will want to do this? What do you think about that? Because I need help. You know, I can't dream all this stuff by myself. But I also want to make sure that it's what you want, that it's what you as a group of women want, and that I'm doing all the right stuff. So I'd like for all those amazing women leaders, and Sherry Matthews, who is she's an official Amazing Women Leader, to please come up here. Because if I put you on the stage, I can't, my table hides you. Oh wait, no, I'm supposed to go over here. Sorry, I didn't follow with you. I didn't follow directions. You can come over here, please. Will all the Amazing Women Leaders come up here with me, please? If you're in the group, or you've gone through the group, or you're currently in the new group, please come. Come on, Miss Jen. Come on, lady. I know. Hi, girlfriend. Come on up, you beautiful ladies. Look at all of these ladies. Come on, everybody, get in line. Is anybody hiding back there? Who's hiding? Get everybody? Sasha. Come, Sasha. Hey, get Sasha, please. Darling. Come on, Sasha. I know. Sasha, come on, darling.
She's the one who made all the food.
Oh my God. Okay. These women are my heart. They have helped me through. They've built this organization for years. They have given up their time and their knowledge and their ability to make this work. Oh, I know. I don't do this stuff. Wait a minute, I'm like that. They also tell me what to do. I love it. Hang on. No, sit there, sit there. So I'm not going to do this well. I'm not going to tell you this because I'll mess it up. But I am going to just give you their names. If you don't know these women, they're rock stars. But I need to just give them a hand just from me and from y'all for all you do. So proud of each and every one of you. Suzanne Lawson, Miramar DeChozo, Janice Mitchell, Matthew, Denise Anthony, Christine Langman, Matthew, Christine Sabella, I never say it right, Lynn Hinderlong-Way, Carrie Hull, Kim Barnes, Andrea Wiggins, Christine Moore, Ann Iacola, Jamie Biden, Lori Holtzman, Christy Kraft, Sharon Matthews, Cheryl Baker, who's back there, David, and I know I got Andy stuff over here in a moment. Sharon Carbonell, Nancy Jones, Ernestine Romer, Carl Denson Beckett, Beckett Denson, did I say it right? I get it right. Sophia Gregorio, I always call her Gregorio, and Jennifer Estima. And these ladies are the reason this is. One more picture, okay, go. Did I miss anybody? I don't think I did. I got everybody. Got everybody. Wow. Talk about focus. I had to really, I was going to talk about their businesses and I knew I'd mess it up, so I decided I'd put it out. Seriously, ladies, if anybody's interested in belonging to this amazing group of women, we're starting our next group in April. If you're interested, please come and see me. A couple of you have already said you're interested, so if you are, please do. Believe me, if I don't have to sell this, talk to these ladies, they will tell you that it's a life changer and it's a game changer. So I appreciate all of you again, y'all are amazing. So, I talked a little bit about our Amazing Women Alliance. I love this group. We usually get between 60 and 80 women at our monthly meetings, which is awesome. Tonight we have this full room and I'm so excited to see each of you. I was a little scared. I woke up in the middle of the night, and my husband had been holding. I went, I said, Shane, I sent him a text early. Did you will have this number? Everybody call. He said, stop doing it. Stop texting. So I still left that little bit of flutter. But this is, if you want to join us, just join us. You don't have to become a member. We're still cheap. You know, they used to be free. We went to $10. I think it's $20 if you're a member, and it's $25 if you're not. But Sasha cooks, and it's the best meal and wine you've ever had. We talked about Gifting Care already. If you're interested, Gifting Care does so much. Sherry Matthews invented the shirt. Gifting Care is the charity that puts it on women here in Austin. Every breast cancer patient here in Austin gets a free shirt. That's what Gifting Care does. We donate, and we've donated $1,000. I'm so proud of us. Okay. You just saw these women, this was last year, they're laughing their heads off on stage, okay? So, you know, usually I'm in the middle of the laugh. But honestly, I couldn't do it without these women. They're the reason that what we do, our planning, our programming, it's all about them because they think about you and how to help you grow. I would love to have you invest in yourself and come and join. Oops. Here's some more pictures. This is the group. So I started 8 groups prior to this when I was working with some other folks. These are the groups of the women that have started. We're on our 8th group. It's our brand new group, and they're still like this. Bless their hearts. They're still like, oh my gosh, what have I done? They can be a little, sometimes they have this look like, oh my gosh, here we are. I told them they all had to be on stage tonight. They went, okay. So, but this is the group. This is the 8th group we put together. We talked about the inward circle. And by the way, the best photographer on the planet is sitting here, Tori Howell. Not Corey Howell. All these pictures are done by Corey Howell. And I'm on a band. I can't go anymore unless I change my hair, I do a new website, I do something. Because Corey used to do these specials and I would run and get a new picture. And she's like, you can't come anymore. You don't do anything. So I need to come. I need to change my hair. Okay. Oh my God, thank you. Good. So this one was Corey. This Connect, Engage, and Succeed. I want to help you grow your business. I want to help you kick ass in your business, in your life. And if you join our member circle, we're going to tighten that circle a little bit, because right now we're this big. I need to tighten our circle a little bit so I can help you. And I really tighten it when you do the AWA. And then you get me for 6 months. But you get me forever. That's kind of what happens. There's some benefits to this. You get more visibility. You're going to get some group coaching. But we're also going to give you some resources that we haven't done before. So this is going to be part of the growing as well. I'm still working on that, and I'll be honest, with John being so sick, I've kind of fallen behind on my commitments on doing that. Don't you worry. I'll get right back on track as soon as we get him going. And he was here today, and he wanted to get out, and I said, stay in that truck. He was trying to help bring in the bags tonight, because he still wants to help. So I want you, there is something I want you to do. Before you leave tonight, or you can just do this, go to darlingtempleton.com, ramp up. I have a free ebook. So a long time ago, my very first program, which has served me so well, is called Ramp Up Your Leadership Skills. R is for recognize your leadership skills so you can recognize those of others. A is for always being authentic and being in action. Okay, at IBM, I was always a little something. I was a little too much. I was a little too out of the box. A little too loud. I'm a little too, really loud, maybe, a little too loud. I was a little too unprofessional for the guy that screamed out of his office, Huggins, get in here! A little too unprofessional. But when you deliver, they leave you alone. And I kicked ass, Gay, and I delivered, and they let me alone. And I ran $350 million projects at IBM. I have no college degree. And I was 18 when I had my first job, 22 at IBM. They told me, they said, we're going to send you to Atlanta for school. I said, I'm driving to Atlanta. My boss fell out laughing out of his chair on the floor almost in his office. I had never been on a plane, and I was 22 years old. And I thought I was going to drive to Atlanta. So don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't do something. Don't let anybody ever get in your way. I had guys that had 2 master's degrees and one that had a PhD that struggled working for me. They got over it soon and they got a new job. So my point to you, it was that simple. Yeah, I'm the boss. Where's my balloons? I'm the boss lady. But when you know what you want and you focus, you're going to hear me say this. Remember what you're supposed to do when I say focus. You're supposed to remember what you said you were focusing on. When you focus, it gets done. My story about being away for 4 months, I thought this organization would wither up and die without me for 4 months. Actually, it got better. Maybe I should go on vacation. But seriously, people do what they're supposed to do. And you work together as a team. So again, don't let anybody tell you you can't do stuff. Today is going to do some great stuff on that. But the other thing is, be who you are. People say, one woman said, your woo-hoos are too much. Sorry, I'm okay. You don't have to woo-hoo with me. She was woo-hooing by the time she left the meeting, okay? You don't have to woo-hoo and you don't have to be, wow. Find who you are and watch those leaders who are quiet. Watch those leaders who are sitting back because they're looking at you going, wonder what's going on here. They're listening and they're looking. But don't ever be anybody but who you are. This RAMP program talks about recognize your value, be authentic, be who you are, get ready to motivate and be others, motivate, engage, and influence. Okay? Shift that dynamic in the room. Make people get up. And at IBM, I used to walk in and they'd be all like that. Anybody walked into a meeting where all like this? Sad face in the corporate world. I'd go in and go, woo! Good morning! Suddenly everybody's in a better mood. They can't believe I just did it. But they're in a better mood. One day the boss said, can you go in there and move with your killing me? Go ahead. Be yourself and make sure that that's who you are and focus on those skills. IBM used to say we want you to work on your strengths and work on your weaknesses. I do not want to work on my weaknesses. Do not tell me I need to work on my weaknesses. I know. Finance, who's finance in this room? Raise your hand. Holy moly. I love you guys, because those spreadsheets that make you dance and sing made me crazy. I had always had strong people. Hire the people on your team to do that. Don't be working on your weaknesses. Find your strengths and live through your strengths. Be honest. Okay? So let me see if I have to check it. I always make you check me again and make sure I haven't done. Oh, I'm supposed to give away door fire. Before I announce our amazing speaker. And I'm going to tell you something. If you haven't bought her book, you need to buy it. I showed you what mine looks like. I refer to it a lot because it always gives me something. When I'm struggling, it always gives me something that I need to do. So, all right, so hold your books up. Before I announce the game, I'm going to give away a couple of door prizes. So we have a new way because the door prizes kind of drove me crazy. We have a door prize table back here, and our amazing sponsors have given us door prizes, okay? So I'm going to read it. The sponsor will stand up, and then if I call your name, stand up, and then afterwards meet at the door prize table at the back to connect, okay? That way we don't have to drag everybody up on stage. Okay, so Pam Friedman, where are you, darling? So Pam Friedman is one of those sponsors that just stays with us. She was my very first sponsor 3 years ago, and she said, whatever you want, and she just stays with us. She's part of our group. Pam, thank you so much for all you do. She's giving, Pam Friedman is with Divorce Planning of Boston and Silicon Wealth Management. She's giving away her latest book called I Now Pronounce You Financially Fit. She's one of those gurus with all that. A water bottle and a cool pair of socks that I want, by the way. Carla Denison, Vicky, you got it. So stand up so y'all can meet, not now, at the end of the meeting. I know this is new, I'm trying, it's a new process, okay? Thank you both. Hold your applause till the end, please. I got in trouble for that too today. Okay, Ernestine Lammers of Conti Goods means be beautiful. When you look at my necklaces that say amazing and my bracelets, these are the best pieces of jewelry. They talk about your business without talking about your business. Ernestine does amazing work. I know, she's giving away a bag made by Women in Ghana made out of fabric and recycled plastic bags. I have to. So, Jace, you want it? Hold your applause, I'm going to get, this is what else happens. My group, the women will start timing me in about 2 minutes. Okay, you're a minute over, so I'm all right. So, Nancy Longenschlager, please stand up. Another, like I said, all these women are part of our community. Nancy is the director of adult learning, workforce development at ACC, almost. Stephanie Willoughby, and she's giving away a massage, which I want every time, Stephanie. So y'all don't hold your applause. We're getting our new process, but it's not working. Okay, that'll work. Okay. Ooh, Debbie Durant, please stand up. My grandkids, when they found out, Marcia, this is the main event, you need to meet her. My grandkids, do you really know the woman at main event? When are we going? Do you really know her? So Debbie so kindly said tonight that I could come anytime. So, Chrissy Kraft, you won 3 one-hour bowling cards at main event. Your kids will love you. I like this new thing. I like this new process. Okay, Maya Cola with Emerald Haven Realty, an engineer turned realtor. She treats her money just like it's hers. Thank you, darling. I wanted this too. Prosecco and chocolate. Susan, you want this? I like this new process. Whoever thought of this is awesome. I think I still did. The team did. Tina Lacey of Austin Pro Photographer. Jim and Tina are photographers. Amazing. 2 hours of event photography. And Jewel Parker, where are you? You want it? So this is working awesome. So now, I don't even know how I'm going to do this, Ms. Gay. I will, I know. Gay Gaddis, I have a crush on Gay. I have for a long time. I've been following Gay around. She's amazing. But I tell you, the first time I heard her, we were at an art gallery with the women. Kristen, where are you? With Women Business Council. You spoke at an art gallery down on 6th, and I was so taken back. I still have that picture that you and I took. She talked about taking charge, focusing, doing what you want, and doing it your way. I'm going to read something out of her book that I have. This book is not about changing you. You are just fine. How many times do they tell us we need to do something different? It's about understanding your strengths, building on them, see how it's building on them, and giving yourself credit for what you have and should do. So when I think about Gay, she's one of the largest of the owners of the largest women-owned advertising and PR companies in the United States. She's in the top 200 women CEOs all over the world. I've been watching her on Facebook. She has won this award. She was in Paris. I've seen you everywhere. And when she says this, I'm like, she's coming. But what I love, and I'm gonna kind of steal out of the book a little bit, because I wrote all this stuff and I decided I'm gonna read just a few things. Gays, whether you're building your goals to start a family, own a business, or advance your career, or whatever you want to do, knowing how to develop it and not be afraid. Okay? That's what Gay does. Gay founded T3, which was way ahead on programs for the company. She'll tell you some of that, but I know that we take dogs to work. We have children of people that started there. People bring their babies to work. She was really a pioneer and a trailblazer because she knew what was right to do. And when I talk about trailblazers, we talked about Gail. Gail's a trailblazer. They're all sitting at the same table. I don't think I better sit down. They're staring at me. But anyway, it's about doing what you want is right and finding it. So Gail does digital marketing programs for 200 clients. She's on the board of directors for Monotone Imaging Holding, Dean's Advisory Council at the University of Texas McCollum Business, first female chairman of the Texas Business Leadership Council, and that's where I saw some big awards. Congratulations on that. Former chairman of the Committee of 200, Top Women C200, Top Women Business Organizations that advances. She's been in Fast Company, Fastest 25. I could go on and on. But what I want to tell you most, trailblaze, and she's going to tell us how to do that. More than that, she's doing what she loves. She's an artist. I saw some of her paintings, they're beautiful. But you are setting a pathway for us and giving us permission to be ourselves and go do it. And with that, Dave, please come. Are you on? Hang on, girlfriend. Let me get you. I name you Tracy. Okay, hold on.
Okay, so good. Great. Darling, fabulous. You're so wonderful. And I'm proud of you for all you do for women. And there's so much.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, here you go, girlfriend.
Okay, here we go. This is go forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
If we need help, we got lots of technical help here.
First of all, I am so delighted to be here tonight. My team in Austin calls these hometown games. Because here I am in my hometown of Austin, and I do travel around a lot. And actually, I have 3 speaking engagements this week. They're all in Texas, so that's kind of good. But I'm very delighted to be here. And not only that, just to be at home and around women. So many of you came up to me tonight that I've had connections with. Wendy back to the University of Texas, and Jim Lacey's dad hired me with my first job when I came back to Austin in 1982. And just so many of you that came up and said hello, we've had connections with through the years. So I feel very special and bonded to so many of you. So here's the book. You've heard about it. It is in the back. Camilla, who's on my team, is back there helping out tonight, so thank you, Camilla. So here's me. I have to tell you, it's been a really humbling experience tonight to meet a true cowgirl. Gail is on the front row here. And Gail is in the Cowgirl Hall of Fame. And also in the Cowboy Hall of Fame, which is quite a feat. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about cowgirls. But this is me when I was about a little over 2 years old. And my parents were from Missouri. And through the oil industry and World War II and all kinds of things, they ended up in Houston, Texas. So I was born in Houston, and then they moved me out to this little town called Liberty, Texas. Has anyone ever heard of Liberty, Texas? Yeah, okay. There's always someone who knows someone from Liberty. My dad always said that there were more characters per square inch in Liberty than any place on the planet, and I think it is right. But they dressed me up like a cowgirl from the time I was a little kid because they thought I was a first-generation Texan, and damn it, I was going to look like one. So I wore these little outfits, a lot. I don't have to wear some normal clothes, but I dressed up as a cowgirl a lot. And I was fortunate enough to be able to have a wonderful godfather who was a rice farmer, and he taught me how to ride horses, and I was working cattle with him when I was 5 years old. On the rice field. So I've been around horses and been a horsewoman all my life. Never competed like Gail did because my mom wouldn't let me. She was afraid I was going to get hurt or meet a pesky cowboy. And isn't that so funny? I ended up marrying on a cowboy anyway. So it was disguised as an admin. Yeah, pesky cowboy. So cowgirls. Why did I put cowgirls in this book? Well, not only am I feel like I'm kind of one of them and have been one, but I've been around women who I believe embodied the spirit of cowgirls all my life. My mother-in-law, my mom, and so many strong women that I admired growing up had the cowgirl spirit. And so when I talk to people around the world about cowgirls, I said, well, can I relate? And I said, yes, all of you can, because you all know someone who's got that cowgirl grit and determination and competitiveness. And these are the women you look up to. So I wanted to write about it. Now here are the ones, now Gail's came later. These, my cowgirls in the book, were from the late 1800s. They competed in those eras up to the 1930s. And in the 30s, the men who they were competing with decided they weren't going to compete with the cowgirls anymore, or with the women, and said, you're too many are getting hurt. Well, that was bunk, because these women liked to compete with the men, but they all split apart at that point. And that ended this historic era of really these women who were the very first international female superstars from the United States. They traveled all over Europe. They were decorated and highly awarded for their skills and their true talent. So here's some of them. I'm sure probably all of you know the woman up on the upper right-hand corner, that's Annie Oakley. And Annie was probably the best sharpshooter in the world. And she didn't get that way just because she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth and someone taught her how to shoot. She learned to shoot when she was about 6 years old to put some food on the table for her family. They were a very poor family in Ohio, and she got so good that she could shoot a critter and not even hurt any of the good meat. She sold the meat in the meat markets in the little town near them. And by the time she was 15 years old, she had paid off the family farm. So she was a tough little business lady, and then their story goes on and on. The other woman you may have heard of is the one on the upper left, and that was Sonora Carter. And Sonora was in a movie that Disney made called Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken. So some of you may remember that film. But she was quite a wonderful character because she had real grit. If you don't know the movie or the story, she would dive off a big platform on a horse into a little pool of water and amaze everybody. But a very short time after she started this stunt, she landed in the water and she was off balance on a horse. And she landed in the water with her eyes wide open. And so both her retinas became detached and she became legally blind. And she continued to perform this stunt for 11 more years legally blind. And she lived into her 90s. She was a wonderful, tough character and quite a showman. And then there's more and more in there that you've never heard of. And part of the reason that I wanted to put these women in the book, and there's just a little vignette before each chapter in my book about one of these historic cowgirls. And the reason I wanted to put them in there is because, except for Annie and maybe Sonora, you've probably never heard of these women. And, you know, I was hearing about this movie that was about to come out called Hidden Figures. And here were these women at NASA who were crunching numbers in a real force behind the space program. But we didn't know who they were. We never heard of them until someone put the spotlight on them. So that is what I wanted to do with these cowgirls. I wanted to tell everybody that look at these brave women that went before us in very tough times for women to stand out. And they're our beacon, they're like role models for us. And so that's why I'm going to book. Now, this is in the Cowgirl Hall of Fame, these words. And they're not written like this, they're kind of all over the museum. But I am one of the art directors at T3, which I've got some great ones here who actually designed the cover of the book and all that. To put this in a pictograph of words, and I love all the words here. You know, if I could take any of those words and someone would describe me that way, I feel like it made my day, it made my year. You think about it, fearless, confident, independent, clever, visionary, genuine. All these words are words that we can live up to. The Cowgirl Museum thinks really just like the cowgirls. So, let me tell you a little story a quick one about T3. So I started my company in 1989. We just celebrated on March 1st our 30th anniversary. It's a long consecutive payroll, 700 something that we have had to do. Well, so this was in a recession. I don't know how many were around then, but Austin and Texas and the whole country was in the toilet. I mean, the savings and loans were not worth anything, they collapsed, and the real estate wasn't worth the dirt it was built on. And so this was a desperate time. And the company I was working for started laying people off, and I got very frustrated because I had to do a lot of that. And so started writing a business plan. I thought, we can turn this around. We've got to change the business model to a certain extent to survive. So I had all these people who were excited about my plan, but I made one big mistake. Never make this. I didn't bring the president along with me. And so I had this, everybody excited, and I showed him my plan, and he came down the hall after reading it carefully and said, "Gay, I'm not going to support your business plan. I don't support this." So I got very angry. I was humiliated. I was really mad and frustrated. I didn't know what to do. So after talking to my husband and thinking about this for less than 24 hours, I walked down the hall and I quit. And I didn't even know what I was going to do. But I knew I had to try this someplace. And no one was hiring anybody, so what did I think I was going to do? So I started my own company. And it's lots of stories I could tell you about that and how that all happened. But I couldn't fail because I talked to another lady here tonight, who started a business, Lone Star Market Research over here. She said, her husband got laid off the day she quit her job to start her company. And it was about the same way with us. And so failure with 3 kids was not an option because we were broke. And I'm telling you, really broke. So I had to make it work. And the rest is a bit history. But let me tell you about this little thing here. So shortly after I started the company, my husband took me to dinner. And he said, "Okay, Gabe, now let's work on this. What is your mantra? What are you going to tell people about your company that differentiates you? And why is anyone going to hire you?" So he said, "Tell me." So I go into this little diatribe about, well, we're going to measure all the projects we do, and we're going to do wonderful creative, and we're going to win awards. And he would stop. He said, "That's not anything anyone will remember. Now let's try it again." So I had a glass of wine and went after it again. At that point, I said, "All right, I'll shorten it some. We're going to be the science and the art and the advertising business that always gets results." And he went again. So now I'm getting a little frustrated because I don't know what I'm going to say. And I had another glass of wine. And finally, he said, "Okay, do it again." And I said, "Damn it, we're going to do kick-ass work for clients who want to kick ass." He said, "That's it. That's your business plan." He went to the bar, got a napkin, and wrote it down. That's in Lee's handwriting, and it still hangs today in the foyer of T3. That has been our simple mantra for 30 years. Kick-ass work for clients who want to kick ass. How many times do we overcomplicate our message? There it is, clear as day. But you know what? I didn't realize how profound I was that night after 3 glasses of wine. But I said something that I wouldn't have necessarily thought of before, and that was for clients who want to kick ass. So it wasn't just about us that we wanted to do the kick-ass work. We wanted to surround ourselves with the kind of clients who weren't happy with the status quo. They were always looking to push things forward. And that is the way that we have run our business. And we've chosen clients, and they've chosen us, who share our dream and our mantra. So, how do you find your personal power? And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of this stuff in the toolkit. Now, in the back of the book is a cheat section, and that is, it's all in gray on the side, and you can go and just read that, but I ask you to read the whole thing. But that's where I kind of sum up and then inject some things that I think are the takeaways of my life and my advice. So here's a little bit of that now. And Darlene was wonderful. She talked to you a little bit about this, but what do you do better than anybody else? And you might say, well, I don't know that I do anything better than anybody else, but you certainly have your strengths, and you certainly do things very well. And so I always say, you can do some things very well. You can get to be the best if you want. But at the same time, even if you couldn't say I'm the very best of the best of the best, you can do something you feel really good about because it's you, and you're doing your best. And that's where the satisfaction comes from. So basically, ask yourself that. And there's some things that you naturally do really well. And focus on that. I totally agree with you. I just don't like for people to be on themselves about weaknesses. And I think women can be especially hard on ourselves. I wish I could just do that better. Or if I'd only work harder, I could do that. Well, I just gave that up a number of years ago and said, I'm never going to do that well. It's not in my wheelhouse. It's not who I am. And so I really try to think about what I do well. And as Darlene said, this is my philosophy too. Find other people who can do that stuff. They're dying to do the things that you don't do well, and they need you. So it all works together that way, and that's how I built a successful company. Because I realized early on what I did well, and I surrounded myself with people who shored up my weaknesses. So you can be an expert in anything today. And when I said, what do you do better than anyone else? I have a woman at T3 who decided she was going to be the self-proclaimed expert in artificial intelligence. It was not in her job description. No one told her to do it, but she just took it on. And she started studying and going to webinars and looking at information, comparing things, and one by one she garnered a lot of knowledge about it. And now she is the go-to person in front of clients like UPS and Allstate and 7-Eleven, and they bring in her to talk about how we're going to integrate AI into these programs. Totally self-taught. Isn't that great? I love her spunk. I love that. So here's one of the things. I didn't say this. My parents did move me to this little town in Texas when I was a little girl. And a very sad thing happened, though. When my father was about 45 years old, I was 13, he passed away. And I talk about it in the book. We didn't understand what it was then, but he was classic post-traumatic stress disorder. And he had been in a really horrific situation in the Philippines in World War II. And so he was a brilliant guy. Came back and he was a really, started his own business, and he was really brilliant. But the dreams haunted him and life haunted him. And as we've all had to face certain things, he would drink with his buddies and he would have social cocktails, but he was still really nervous and kind of uptight. So he went to get a medical checkup in Houston, and the psychiatrist got a hold of him and put him on Valium. And no one knew back then the cocktail of Valium and alcohol and what they could do, so it killed him basically. And the death was called a heart attack, but I lost my dad at 13. So it changed me forever. But this is one of the things I will never, ever forget that he taught me. And even as a little girl, he would say, Gay, I want you to meet people where they are. And he'd say, I want you to understand what I'm talking about when I say meet people where they are. He said, I don't care if you are looking someone in the eye at the Salvation Army and you're serving soup to them. Now, he assumed I'd be the one serving the soup and not the one receiving, but he also knew that I needed to respect and have a caring for that person across from me. And then he said also, if you are invited to the White House to a state dinner, I want you to show up and be able to carry on an intelligent conversation and wear the appropriate clothes and know which spoon and knife and fork to pick up. So he said, be right where you need to be. Meet people where they are. And that goes to every person you see. And because of that, it's changed the way I've always thought about meeting people. And it's enriched my life because I don't just think about someone as another face on the plane or another person I'm walking by. I try to get in your head. And because, wait. From back, no.
Tracy.
Backward, back.
That's
Great, back is left. Yes, back.
Okay, great.
Here. Okay, so I realized later when I found this poem by Lawrence Kushner, and you should look it up. It's a beautiful poem. It really says that no one has within themselves all the pieces to their puzzle. Everyone carries with them at least one and probably many pieces to someone else's puzzle. So I feel like if I don't meet people where they are and try to get to know them, I may miss out on one of my puzzle pieces that they have. And I love this poem. It's a beautiful poem if you read the whole thing. And so that's something I think about a lot. Now, the path to success is not a straight line. And this is something that we all have to get our heads around, especially if you're mentoring younger women or really even ourselves as we start to change and morph through our lives and reach out for different goals. And maybe we leave this job and go on to something else. And I've had a couple different lives recently, which has been interesting. One as an author, one as a painter. I didn't know I'd be doing that a few years ago. But it's not a straight line, and I think we also get very tough on ourselves that, okay, we just have this goal, we gotta do this, we gotta focus here, we gotta get all this done. And it doesn't work that way. Because guess what? Life comes at us like a pinball machine. And you get boom, boom, one over here, up there, and just about the time you think you're on your way to getting right to the goal, something happens. Like Darlene's husband gets sick, or the recession comes again and you lose a big client, or all these things that happen to us that you don't even expect and you can't control, but they're coming at you anyway. So let those things happen, you deal with them, and then you get right back on the path again and think about, well, what's next? And usually when those things happen, when you do get back on the path, you're better for it in some way. Even though it was stingy, it was hard, you got tougher, and or you learned something, or you enriched. And so it's okay, and you go right back and get on the path again, but it's never going to be a straight line. This is something that I love. It's on my desk. When I started my company in 1989, I went to visit my mother-in-law in Cotulla, Texas, and they're from an old ranching family down there. And she's a cowgirl. She was a fabulous cowgirl. I even put in the book that she could field dress a deer and never mess up her beautiful red painted fingernails. That's true. But she had this little box on one of the tables in the living room at the ranch house, and I picked it up a few times. And by the time we left on Sunday, she said, "Yay, I noticed that you're looking at that." And I said, "Well, yes, Isabel, I've been eating brisk for breakfast every day starting this company." She said, "Take that. I want you to have it." And I really started thinking about it. She said, if you think about risk, if you don't take it, then you're going to miss out on the sweet stuff. And sometimes we hold ourselves back and we won't take that risk, and we know we want to, but something holds us back, or we think we can't. But I swear, if you do it, you'll always get the sweet stuff and the good stuff. And even if it fails, you're going to learn something, and it's still sweeter because you decided to jump and take a leap. And it's hard, I know, but it really is true. Everything is sweetened by risk. Now, listen to your gut. People tell you this all the time, but I guarantee you this is the toughest lesson I've ever had to learn. Because I always thought I did. I always thought, yeah, I'm doing, I've got my moral compass here, and I follow that gut all the time. But I'm going to give you a couple examples of when I didn't follow my gut and it came back to bite me. I have had a few situations at T3 through the years that I would not listen to my gut when we were interviewing somebody. They looked good on paper, they were smart, they had the industry knowledge, did everything good, but there was something not quite right. And somehow I would let these people into the organization. And before I knew it, the whole company was like backing away from them, upset. The morale would go down and all this stuff. And guess who would get to have the fierce conversation with this wonderful person? Me. And because I had decided to hire them. I'm talking about some senior folks. So that's when I bring out my phrase, sometimes you have to shoot the assholes. And if you don't, they will destroy everything. And you have to be tough and just say, take them out. And you gotta do it because the assholes ruin everything. And you know what? I've always said that sometimes someone who was an asshole to me maybe gets thanked somewhere else. So free them up. Let them go. Yeah, free them. So sometimes you have to say no. I say yes to a lot of stuff, but sometimes you have to say no. And actually, I have to tell you, my New Year's resolution for 2019 was, and I just came up with it on January 2nd. And I was sitting there and I said, walk away from mediocrity. If it's not good, just walk. Just walk away. If it's not a good thing, just walk away from mediocrity every time you can. But one time I did have to say no. And it was to this guy. And let me tell you a little story. So, in 1992, we were a little company here in Austin. And we started doing a lot of work for Dell. And Dell was growing, and we were growing, and all of a sudden we were on this freight train, doing work on the internet, doing stuff we would have never done without a paying client. And so we had a great relationship with Dell for 16 years until their CMO came in and decided they were going to consolidate agencies. And we were one of 800 some odd agencies around the world. But they told us, you're the only thing not broken, so you stay. Well, okay. So they consolidated under a big holding company, WPP, and it became very apparent to me within 3 days that the only way we were going to stay is if we sold the company to WPP. And there was no way in hell I wanted to do that. First, I didn't want to sell the company, and second, I never wanted to work for WPP. And this is Martin Sorrell, who was at the time, until recently, the CEO and founder of the WPP organization. And I don't know if you all know this, but he was recently found doing some very horrible things. And actually, one of them was using the company credit card to pay prostitutes. And I'm not kidding you, it was in the Financial Times. And I'm not making this up. So I knew that we didn't want to work for him even back then. I just didn't want to be in that organization. So we found ourselves at the gunpoint from the CMO and his team at Dell saying, either sell or you're out. So we're out. And so I walked away that day from $70 million. Thing I've ever done in my life. They were way too big of a client. Yes, that's true. But we were doing great stuff with them, and we were learning, and it was a great experience for the most part. So I always say that back then, you know, I had dark hair, and then it turned white in 2 weeks. I'm blonde now. But we said no to that, and somehow my wonderful team at T3 backed me up, and we were able to sell ourselves out of that situation and still make money at the end of the year. It was unbelievable. Yeah. That is why I say understand the money. Now, this is a thing that not many people probably talk about that much, but no matter where you are, nonprofit, in your own family, in a company, your own company, whatever, the way that you get more power is to really understand how money gets made. And that's why you become valuable to either to your staff or to the staff you're working with or whatever group you're in. And literally, it can be a nonprofit, but nonprofits have to make money too. And so if you get your head around that, how money is really made, then you have negotiating power because you're part of that solution. You are helping to make money for the company. And I always say, take the CFO to lunch. You know, learn the business of the money. Doesn't mean you need to be a CPA or an accountant or any of those things, but just get it. Get the way the sales works. And I have to laugh because I told you that Jim Lacey's here tonight. And in my book, I talk about this. His dad, I was doing pretty good in my jobs before, but his dad taught me how the advertising business made money on a yellow pad. And we would sit there, and he would write down all this stuff, and I took it in, and I was like a sponge. And before I knew it, I was making a lot of money for the company. And when I was pregnant with my daughter, and after I had her, I was able to negotiate coming in half days for 9 months because I was controlling so much of the bottom line. And that's what I'm talking about with negotiating power. You can really have it if they know you are controlling real money coming into the organization. Surround yourself with smart people. That all goes back to this. Everybody is smart in their own way. So it's not like one's smart or the other. I don't really believe that. But I think everyone has intrinsic skills and strengths and intelligence. But if you put the right people around you, you will be so successful. And I've never been intimidated by people who, and I really have had so many people in the room who were always, I really thought were just geniuses and smarter than me. But at least I was smart enough to know that and put them in the room with me. So it's really something that, you know, I think you really think about. Who are you hanging out with? You know, who's on your team? Now, this is one of the things that I'm so proud of is our team at T3, and this is one of the things that we do. This is called Creative Ranch. And the team named that, I didn't. And we come together once a year. We bring people from all over the country. We have offices in Atlanta, New York, San Francisco, and the big one here in Austin. And we get people together to really share ideas and learn and have fun and eat together and just make food and just have a great time. And so that's really kind of a hallmark of kind of part of our culture. And then when I say that, I will say don't separate your work from your family. Too many people, in my opinion, will do their work and then they come home and they don't talk about it, or they won't share it with their significant other, their husband, their kids. Our kids learned about the business. When they came home at night after school and I came in from the office, we would sit around and kind of talk about what happened. And if Mommy had a bad day, I told them about it. And if we had a good day, we won an account, or we had an award, or something great happened, they learned about that too. Because I wanted them to see the good and the bad and the reality of business. And so they really got it. And the other thing too, especially with children, is if they sense something inside you is off or not right, they project it on themselves. And somehow, even though they're not anything, they have nothing to do with the problem, they may take it on them that, well, my parents are, something's wrong, they're not happy with each other or with me, and that's not a good thing to let happen. So here's the real thing about separating for family. And this is a program that I'm so proud of. In fact, Friday night I was recognized as a finalist for the diversity group here in Austin for this program, and it's called T3 and Under. And this is something I started 28 years ago. And I told you we were working with Dell, and I had only 36 people. We were really ramping that up. But 4 of my women got pregnant within weeks of each other. I mean, I don't know. I always look back and say, was there an ice storm I missed or something? But they did. And so here they were. What was I going to do? Because I needed all 4 of them on the business. And I was afraid that they wouldn't come back. Because you know what, 28 years ago, and still is today, some women don't have to go back to work. They don't. They choose to be stay-at-home moms, and that's great. I'm all for it. But selfishly, I didn't want them to go away. I wanted them to stay because I needed them on the business. So we kind of lamented what we were going to do. We did. Finally, I thought, well, why don't they just bring them out here? You know, just bring the babies with them once they get finished with maternity leave. Just bring them up here. We'll help take care of them. Now, this is not a licensed daycare situation. This is you come, you bring your child, and we'll help as much as we can. And we'll just raise your kid up here until a certain time, and we'll figure out when they need to go. My attorney found out about it. I think my CFO told me. And he called and he said, "I can't do this." He said, "It appears it's a liability just beyond what you're able to handle." And he said, "Just don't do it. I'm telling you right now, just walk away from this. Don't do it." And I said, "Doug, I'm going to do it because it's the right thing to do." We did it. And now 28 years later, we've had over 100 little children up there, and now they do leave at 6 months. At one point it was 9. But the parents, and I've had dads too, lots of dads, who brought their children with them, and we all did care for them, and they're all part of the culture. And we have dogs, and the dogs are up there, and so the babies and dogs, and all this hoopla, but we get all the work done. Now here's the thing that still brings a tear to mine, I've told this story a lot of times. The 2 young people on the right here, and of course all my little babies, every baby gets a little pair of red boots, because I guarantee you that first picture I showed you, me in my cowgirl outfit, those were red boots. It's a black and white picture, but those were red boots. So everybody gets red boots. These 2 walked in one day, and they were introducing me to the new intern class, because I don't interview them anymore. It's done by the teams. And I went, "Oh my God, it's Davis and it's Haley." And they were the very first 2 T3 and Under babies, and there they were back. There they were back, and I cried. I couldn't believe it, because they surprised me, didn't they? So, timeline in your life. We talked a little bit about this, but this is very important, and it's about focus, it's about your goals, and all this stuff. Now, you need to start thinking about, I don't care what stage in your life you're in. I don't care if you're at my age, or just starting out, or somewhere in between. Go back and continue to timeline your life. Because if you don't, you will not do the things that's necessary to get to where you want to be in 2 years or even 6 months from now. So I've been very, very vocal about this in my book, and I've talked about this. Write it down. Put it down, do a spreadsheet, whatever devices you want to use, but I write mine, and I do little arrows, and I put years out there and all that. If you have a family, your significant other, your spouse, whatever, get them involved, because they're part of this, and it's not just you and your goals, it's those people around you, your senior management team, whatever, and bring them along so that they understand where you're trying to go, and then everybody helps each other. So timelining your life is so key to every stage of our lives. Now, here I am again. Here's the book. Here's me. And like I said, those were red boots. And I just want to say, go kick ass. And I hope that I haven't overstayed my welcome, because if anybody wants to ask questions, that's what I really like to do. I love honest Q&A and hearing from you. You don't have to ask me a question. You can make a statement or something you've observed lately, whatever you want to do. But I would love to have your thoughts now and spend as much time as Darlene will let us up here doing that. Anybody have a
Who
question?
has a question? I can figure out how to get this up. Okay, hold on.
I can just ask, what does T3 stand for?
Thank you for asking that. I should have said that. T3 stands for Be, Think, Tank. TTT. Because when I started the company, the other thing besides kick-ass work for clients who want to kick ass is that we didn't want to be considered just an ad agency, because we were doing things from the very beginning that were not what I call ad-like objects. We organized a parade in one town. We were doing, handing out oranges on the street saying, we work for food, do you want to for Central Market, to get people to sign up to work at Central Market. We've done all kinds of things through the years that were really not just ads. And so I always wanted my people to think, and we have think tank rooms at the company now where all of the clients have special rooms, and those teams come together and they're allowed to just dream and think and put up ideas and say, what's next? What else could we do? Or how can we be different? And not always do the obvious thing. And so that's why, thanks to Dell also, we got so involved in internet marketing early. And so because of that, we became kind of digital experts before most people even knew it was going to happen. So again, the think tank model allows you to kind of go, well, you know, people say, what are you going to be doing in 5 years at T3? And I said, I don't know, but if everybody's talking into a ring, then we'll be the ones doing the best ring talk, you know. So it's following the customer, where are they, how do people consume their information, how are they making decisions, and that's where we want to be. But a think tank allows you to do that. Plus, I will be very candid with you. When I first started the company, I used my maiden name because my husband's name was on another agency down the road. And so I used my maiden name, Warren. And then at some point, everybody who came in who thought they should asked if they could put their name on the door, and they wanted to be a partner on the stuff. And I went, this isn't going to work because I don't want one of these long names with 10 last names on the door. So that's when I said, you know, we kept calling ourselves the think tank. And so I said, let's just name it T3. So we like it. So it's been it ever since.
Any more questions? This is your time, ladies. All right, hold on, Lauren, I'm coming. Okay, can we hear you?
My voice is tired, I'm
Okay.
sick a little bit.
Are we on? It says green. Thanks, Lauren.
So I had a question about company culture. We live in a society now where the average employee lasts about 2 years within a company because it feels like compensation is probably a larger, or like health benefits, which is another thing. What advice do you give to growing agencies or companies on how to retain or grow, or like the mental shift of growing company cultures? You've done so much innovative work that in old school corporate wasn't a thing.
Culture is extremely important, but it has to reflect the founder in a way. It has to reflect the key people that are going to keep it going. And there's turnover. In agency business, there's going to be turnover, and a lot of my people are really great, and they can get jobs a lot of places. So, because we're in a time where they can't. There are times when sometimes there's a recession going on and jobs are scarce, but we find it to be something that has to come from within them. And you have to empower the people there to make it their own and to be able to initiate changes. We can't always do things the same way we used to do them. And my biggest fear is I'll come stumbling in there when I'm 85 years old someday and say, God damn it, that's not the way we did it back in 1993. It's got to be, the millennials now are changing the game. And then we'll have our Gen Xers, which I'm really excited about, because they're supposed to be more like boomerangers. I'm boomers. But it's really, it has to come from within, and you feed it all the time, and it's what you hold up. See, it's like, what gets rewarded? What's held up in the organization as, wow, this is really great. And then everybody else pays attention, because that's what we're saying. It's the kind of behavior, that's the kind of creativity, that's the kind of tenacity, whatever it is that we want to embody as part of who we are. And we've just gone through it again, and we do it over and over. We kind of tweak our values all the time and make sure people understand that. We do a lot for the staff. We wrap their holiday Christmas presents, and we take their dry cleaning, and we feed them food all the time. I walk in there and say, it's a picnic every day and a party every night. But that's not really what makes the culture. The culture is the work they do. And if they're proud of work, and if I go back, you cannot, clients can be assholes too, just like bad people on there. And I have hired clients that were making my people miserable And I didn't care what the logo was by their name or anything, and you'd be surprised at a couple that I've hired. But they made my staff hate to come to work. That will kill your organization faster than anything. And I would throttle back sometimes on the profit of the company in order to make it where it's, we want most clients to be delightful to work with. And you have to train them to be, sometimes they come out of cultures that are a little tougher and a little mean. It's not what they say, it's kind of mean. But we try to make them know how we work, and if we do what we do and they do what they do, then we're all a big team together. So those are just some of the things. It's really though, you've got leaders that are there and they walk the walk every day, and then people, the new hires and all that will respect what they're doing. Nice.
I think we have one more back here, Gay.
Okay,
Hey there, girlfriend, how are you? Good.
Thank you for being here, Gay.
thank you.
It is so scary to take a risk, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It is scary, especially when you know you have so many ideas stuck inside of you, right? How did you just do that? $1,600 IRA, and you just
16,000, man. It's pretty much better, wasn't it?
Yeah, 16,000. What snapped at you at that point?
Yeah, I really believed in what I had written in that business plan, and it wasn't that elaborate. It wasn't 100 pages. It was about 20 pages of ideals and directions and things that I thought were critical to business surviving under those circumstances. And it was a very bad recession. A lot of people have lost jobs. It was dismal. And so, when I found out I wasn't going to be able to do it in the company I was in, honestly, I just snapped and thought, well, I've got to do this. I was so passionate, and I felt I was so right about what I wanted to do that I had to go try it. And, and like I said, there wasn't anyone who was going to hire me because no one was getting any jobs anywhere. So, I had to do it. But it was just my total passion about wanting to see if it could work. I wanted my experiment to work, or my theory.
Okay, any more questions? We've got some time. Anybody else have a question? Oh, yes, ma'am. Tell me your name. Wendy. Hey, Wendy. Oh, Wendy. Nice to meet you.
I don't know, Wendy says University of Texas.
Yeah, that's part of my
Okay, you stand up, please, John. You should be on.
So, and that's part of my question. So when we were in University of Texas, there was a student ad agency, and Dr. Lenny Rubin had over in the contract department. And so people in that. So what was your first job right out of school, and what did you learn from it?
Oh, I learned a lot. I got a job at a company that was really growing, but it was tiny at the time, called the Richards Group in Dallas.
Yes.
And so I was hired as a copywriter and as an art director because I could draw. Wendy and I go back to the days that some of you won't remember, but there were no computers to do ad comps or to show concepts or anything. So we had to draw everything. And if I wanted to show a client an idea, I drew it and did beautiful little marker drawings and all this stuff. And we knew how to draw typefaces. And, we really were artists. And but I also could write copy. So I went in with both skills and did that. But something weird happened to me several months into the job. First of all, it was like Mad Men with bell bottoms. It was pretty crazy, some of the stuff that went on. But that wasn't the weirdest thing to me, is that something was going wrong with my creative spark, and I could not figure it out. The Richards Group, especially at the time, was, like I said, 19 people, and it was a very introverted culture, meaning that in the morning you would come in to a little meeting, and everybody would get assignments, and then you were wandered off to your little cube that was up high, and you couldn't see anybody around you. And you sat in your little desk, and at that time I had a typewriter and a drawing board, and I was supposed to come up with all this stuff, and at the end of the day, come out and show everybody. Well, it kind of worked for a few months, and I kind of was doing okay. And then all of a sudden, it was just like worse and worse, and no one liked my ideas, and I felt embarrassed, and I was withdrawn. It was just, what was going on? I couldn't believe it. And so at one point, in about a year into it, I had a very serious conversation with Stan Richards, and I was fine saying, my work's not good, and he said, I know. He said, you're just not a fit here, and so he fired me. I had 2 weeks severance, and I was putting my first husband through dental school, and I was making all of $13,000 a year. So it was very, very exciting to me, and as you can imagine, there wasn't a safety net. And so I ended up getting a job at Baylor Medical Center in Dallas, and I became the PR director there at a very young age. I started off as a media expert and media correspondent, and then into assistant director, and then finally into director of PR, which again, I was too young for the job, but I did it. And people always said, did you have the imposter syndrome then? I said, you know what that was. I just did it, but I was a little like, what am I doing this job? But anyway, that went well. That went really, really well. And so I thought, okay, I'm not such a loser after all. And so then we moved to Atlanta, and my husband at the time was in an orthodontic residency there. And I went to work for 4 guys who'd gotten their MBAs at Harvard together. It was a company called Leadership Dynamics. And we were in Procter & Gamble and Delta and Coca-Cola and some big companies because of their internships. At Harvard, they had internships. And so, and that's how we got in these companies. So I was learning about these big companies, and in the meantime, we were doing a lot of personality profile testing. And I found out what my type was for the first time in my whole life. And I found out, oh, now I know why I didn't do well at the Richards Group, because I thrive and get my creativity and my energy by collaborating with people. I'm a big extrovert. Surprise, surprise. Darlene's not.
Both of us are a little introverted there. We should take some classes on becoming an introvert.
That's right. I love introverts. They've been the best. INTJs are like my best friends ever, and I'll tell you one more quick story in a minute about that. It's hilarious. But anyway, so I found out that no wonder I did not do well there, because except for occasional lunch or a couple meetings a day, I was by myself, and there was no way that I could thrive in that. So once I figured out who I was and how I worked, then it changed my whole life. And that's why I tell especially young people, get your head around that. Find out what you're good at. Find out your personality types or assessments. Take a Myers-Briggs, do whatever it takes. And once you know that, then you do what you do well and get other people to shore up your weaknesses. And the last funny thing about an INTJ is I'm married to one. And Lee is pretty funny because he's one of the few people that can call BS on me. Well, when I started on the book, there was a ghostwriter who wanted to help me write it, because the real truth is that most business books are not written by the business person. There's a lot of ghostwriters out there that write them because they can't write. And I realized I can write. I'm going to do this myself. But even though I have a company that leans into technology a lot, I'm not real good with software. And so the dirty secret of the book, which I tell only a few people, is that I wrote the whole thing in emails to Lee and me on a mini iPad with a keyboard. On the planes, all the time. It was carpal tunnel. I'm not kidding. I did surgery. But every letter, every word was written on that mini iPad in emails. Lee, the INTJ, said, this is ridiculous. He said, you can't even send this off to your publisher. So he said, I'll organize it in editing software and we'll get this thing fixed. So he did all the endnotes, and he actually did some research in a few places sprinkled through the book. There's like a McKinsey study or something that backed up some of my thoughts and theories. So between him organizing it in the software and doing all the endnotes and all the references, we got the book done. So I couldn't have done it without him or someone like that who said, come on, yeah, you can do it. But see, that's the way I like to write. I didn't want to think about having to put it in this box or this paragraph. I just wanted my head to flow. I just wanted to write and just have it come out as me. And so when you read the book, it's me. It's my words. No one wrote it but me. And the last funny thing, and then I'll let you either have another glass of wine or go off and do what you do, and I'll sign those if anyone wants me to, is at the very end, when all this was about to happen, I realized that, you know what? It wasn't really me who wrote this. I did, but it was all the people in my life that held my hand through things, my parents, my friends, the staff at T3, all these people. And I was merely just telling the story that I was privileged enough to live. And yeah, I worked hard, and I would tell you I didn't. But the story's really, about everyone else. And so that's what I'll leave you with. And the last thing, I did read the audiobook, and I'll tell you this is okay. So it sold to a different company, and it was a guy from Grand Rapids, Michigan, who was on the phone in the studio while I was reading, and it was a 2.5-day slog to read the book. It's a lot of work, and I have a big new appreciation for voice talent now, because it's hard. But I was sitting there, and all of a sudden I got to this paragraph, and I said, that was one of the most humbling experiences of my life. Dave on the phone says, "Yay, let's start over on that one. You said humbling. The word starts with an H, it's humbling." And I said, "Really?" And the guy on the other side, who was here in Austin, started laughing, the engineer. And he said, "I bet Gay grew up near Humble, Texas." And I said, "I sure did." I said, we played them in football, and they were 30 miles down the road from me, and there was Humble, Texas, and I never knew there was another way to say it. So thanks a lot.
I told you I gave myself a new name, Chief Amazing Officer. We're going to focus on our strengths, right? Not on our weaknesses. We're going to trust our guts. We're going to timeline our life, right? And I love the fact we always say we want to have balance between work and life. There is no balance. Mine's either my hair's on fire or nothing. And then my hair's on fire and everything that's going on in my life. And it was over the last 6 weeks. I couldn't even figure out how I was going to send enough text to let the family know what was going on. And Tammy and Kathy said, and Marshall all said, let us do it. So I just sent group text and I just copied the same thing how John was. But when your hair is on fire, you can't separate it. But life and work just blend. We are who we are. You know, people used to say to me, I'm a coach. I hate the word life coach. If you're a life coach, sorry. I'm a life coach. I don't like that word. I'm a business guy. I coach you where you are. And you said you meet people where they are. I meet you wherever you are. People will say, do you coach business or do you coach personal? Well, what am I supposed to do? Cut you here? Do business? Cut you here? Do personal? No. I meet you where you are. I coach you in what you need. I help you along your journey. And I can't sweat you. Because if I say to you, Megan, are you personal? Are you business? Are you Novitom? Or who are you? You're everything. We all are everything. We're mothers and daughters, and we're everything. And we're here tonight. Yeah, I love what you said about collaboration. And yes, I'm the first time they did Myers-Briggs at IBM, I'm a 10, like an ENTJ or ENTP. One of those. I'm one of those big E's. They said that I was sitting there, I was a young 22, and they said, if you're this, you're probably probably the person that sees somebody in the black tennis shoes and goes, "Hey, Tina, it's Darlene." And I had just done that in the ladies' room. Was having a conversation. I recognized someone's shoes, and they went. I said, "How do they know?" I mean, I was so young. I went, "How do they know?" But it's so true. I still do that today. If I look over and see Tina, I'll go, "Hey, Tina, it's Darlene." But that's who you are, so don't hide it. So that's the things we want to talk about. I want to wrap this up. I am now the Chief Amazing Officer. Get your book signed, get your cheat sheet, and focus. And what are you supposed to do when I say focus? You're supposed to remember what you're focused on. What are we going to do when I talk about celebrate? You're remembering what we said celebrate on. We've got coffee on March 19th. You'll all get a note. Come and join us at our coffees. They're amazing. Sometimes we have 6, sometimes we have 36. We have everybody in between. But it's a time to get closer and to meet the people in the group. Our next meeting is April 10th, so please come and join us. And you'll all get notified about that. We're so excited. April 10th. And that's it. Let's see. Are we at 5 o'clock? We're south. Yay for the south people. When I do south, people love it, so we're south. When I do north, people love it, so we're trying to do it. Here's the thing I want to close with, and I'm going to give away a few more door prizes. But I want to tell you something. We've heard a lot tonight. There's a lot about what we're doing, what we're supposed to do, and how we focus. But the one thing I want you to know is if you hear me say anything tonight, Kay said it, you are just fine. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. You are fine who you are. You're not too much. I was always too much. Too this, too that. I'm not too many things. I'm just fine with who I am. It took me a long time, and I still have moments. There's a chip on my shoulder sometimes, and I get scared. But when you learn to focus on what you're good at and who you are, and I love what they said, to collaborate. Don't ever lock me away, because I'll be calling and texting, and I'll be on that phone. Where are you? Can you come get me? Meet me at Starbucks. Somebody call me. Somebody help me. I need help. I can't do it. I need that collaboration too. And I need to make sure that all of you understand that every single one of us brings something different. We bring it and meet people where they are. Thank you, Dave, for that. Whether you're quiet or crazy loud like me or everywhere in between, we all have a purpose and a reason to do the things we do. Don't ever change who you are. Know that you are perfect the way you are, and you are just you, and I love that. So before I let us go, I'm going to do a couple things. I have to give away door prizes because I get in trouble again. Uh-oh, they're on the table. You know, I get in trouble if I don't do, somebody's going to, Kay's going to get after me and do this shit. I don't do what I'm supposed to do. So, and then I'm going to close this up, and then I'm going to give us some more time to network. And usually at our meetings, nobody ever wants to go home. So I don't know until they come in and run us out. They're outside. So until they come in and run us out, we can hang out and do a little more networking. Please go meet the sponsors and make sure that you know them. Please meet our speakers. Please have spent some time with my guest, Beth Snyder. Thank you again so much for coming. But most of all, to each of you, thank you for coming as well. Okay. Oh my gosh. Max Rusman, where are you? Max. Okay. Corey. Max just won photos with you. I want them. Max just won. I'm coming. No, you can't hold me on. Okay. So Caitlin. Oh, did Caitlin leave? Caitlin Maitland. No, the other Caitlin. Kristen Maitland. Okay, she just, I know, I'm getting nervous. I get nervous, the Kay's over there staring. Cheryl Baker, your passport to travel on the bucket list. $200 of personalized travel. Cheryl Baker, where are you? Okay. Megan DiMartino, I always want this, but I'm going tomorrow anyway. I'm going to Omaha with my nieces. We are taking off day. Stand up. And where is Janice Matthews? Woo! You won it. Girlfriend. When you come on, I'm going with you, okay? That's the deal. All right. I decided we were treating ourselves tonight. Okay. The traveling, where's Tim? No. The traveling photo booth, which guys, ladies, I want to go back in there. Of course, Kay and I were talking and not looking at the right lens. Where's Kay? Where's Kim? Look at the lens. I know we weren't looking at the lens, we were looking down. Okay. Lindsay Mitchell. Where's Lindsay? Oh! You want photo frames for strip photos, and I want those, Lindsay, so I'm coming after you. Those cool strips that you did with Tina, she has photos, she has frames for those. Okay, here is Ida Longoria. Ida, stand up. Oh my gosh, see what happens when you hang with us? You got 2 $10 birthday passes to 5 o'clock. Felicity, stand up. Yay. All right, everybody that won, meet at the table back here. Okay, hang on, hang on. Uh-oh. Golly, Megan. See what happens when you hang with me? You just won. Nancy Jones, please stand up. A Ray Realty wine basket from Nancy Jones. This is what happens when you hang with us. Okay, and I wanted this too, Regina. Where are you, darling? All right, Regina Waldo with the Eastsiders. My husband said, are you bringing the Eastsiders swag home tonight? And I said, I don't know, but Megan, you Martina, you won the Eastsiders swag, so be careful on these things. Okay, Lori Holtzman, please stand up. And where's Jewel? Okay, so Jewel, you won a $50 Visa card from Jewel and a Mary Kay gift set. Oh, two. Okay, all right then. Okay, we're going to draw. Whose birthday is today? Anybody have a birthday today? Who has a birthday today? Betty, your birthday was yesterday. You just won the gift. You just won the gift from Jewel. So there's one more. Okay, see, I'm getting instructions. Hold on. Okay. Okay, one more. I'm giving away. Did we pick? I have a card somewhere. Oh, I play up there. Thank you. See what happens when I get busy. Thank you. I'm giving away a membership to Member Circle, $150 value. Or Charlene Smith, the other darling. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm closing this up because I'm getting the eye. I just want to say thank you so much. I am honored, as I said earlier. You have a choice on where to spend your time. There are lots of networking groups and lots of times. I thank you all for flying with us. And more than that, I thank you for being part of my tribe and part of who we are and who's in the room. And more than that, each of you, I love what you bring. And I think I got to say hello to everybody, and if I didn't, you won't believe I'll stand out in front. You can't get out before I know you, because I need to know your name. And Ann, I see you brought a table. There's a few I haven't met yet, so I'm stopping you. If I haven't personally met you, please come and find me before you leave tonight, because I want to welcome you. Thanks again to our sponsors. I'm going to leave us with a couple of things. What are you celebrating in 2018? Don't forget. What are you focusing on? Oh, geez, for 2018. What are you focusing on? And remember, I always say make 2 dates. Don't try to meet everybody in the room. Walk away with 2 dates tonight, the people that you're going to follow up with, and that they're going to be your amazing connections. We're starting something new in our group called Amazing Connections, and that's for the connections that we make. Who in here has met somebody that's in our group? Who's anybody that's met somebody that they've really had a great time with to make friends with? Okay? Everybody. Who in here has met people that have done business with them in this room? And who in here would like to meet more people in this room? So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with one thing. Do one thing every day that scares you. As Gay said, we have to do that. Take a risk. Risk is sweet. But remember, Eleanor Roosevelt is one of my favorite women in the world. She says, do one thing every day that scares you, and if you're not doing something every day that scares you, you're not doing that. So with that, I'm going to leave you with, everybody stand up. I'm going to leave you with one more thank you to our sponsors, a big round of applause. She's responsible for the bunteens. Sasha's done all the food. And Jamie and LB and Nancy are responsible for the beautiful decorations. But with that, I want to hear